inteligencia artificial. La razón por qué escogimos este tema, la Universidad Gregoriana me encargó de dar una presentación también a la Facultad de Teología, de Historia, de toda la Universidad Gregoriana, sobre el uso de la inteligencia artificial en la aula, en la universidad, cómo lo podemos usar. No tanto una cosa general y teórica, pero algunas aplicaciones prácticas en la aula, porque brotó un debate, ¿no? El uso de la inteligencia artificial en la universidad, en la aula, en la enseñanza, como cuando empezaron las computadoras, el iPad y todo eso, hay una resistencia natural, que dice, bueno, unos profesores que quieren prohibirlo, que no se puede usar la inteligencia artificial para los estudios. Pero sonaba mucho como el argumento que hacían cuando empezaron las computadoras. Me acuerdo al fin de los años 80, yo viví la parte, yo cuando entré a Belén, hasta el 9º grado, creo que fue en el 9º grado, la última vez que usé máquina de escribir para hacer los trabajos. Ya después en el 10º, el 11 y el 12 grado empecé a usar la computadora para entregar trabajos, y en la universidad todavía no teníamos computadores personales, eso era solo los privilegiados podían tener eso. Tenemos que ir al banco de datos, ahí el centro, el Computer Center de la universidad, y esperar una fila y usar ahí escribir, hacer los trabajos. Así que, y me recuerdo que también había una resistencia de algunos profesores que no se podía usar la computadora para estudios y trabajos, pero hoy día es imposible, se tiene que usarse, una cosa se ha aceptado. Y de hecho creo que el uso de la inteligencia artificial va en el mismo camino de eso. No es tanto que si lo debemos aceptar o no, es que ya es un hecho. Y tenemos que estar conscientes de cómo adaptarlo y usarlo para mayor provecho. Así que pensamos algunas preguntas que emergen desde el principio y el debate, digamos, sobre todo en la universidad, que ya he tenido un poco de diálogo con otros profesores, otros jesuitas allá, es sobre si la inteligencia artificial es inteligencia, sí o no. Ajá. Entonces hay una escuela, digamos, que dice no, que no puede ser y es imposible. La inteligencia solo le toca al hombre. Está bien, es una posición bien filosófica y tiene sus raíces, tiene sus razones también. Pero cuando hablamos de inteligencia artificial, no estamos hablando de una inteligencia igual al hombre, no, es otra cosa, es artificial. Así que como cuando comemos algo que tiene chocolate artificial, suena como chocolate, huele como chocolate, sabe de chocolate, pero no es chocolate. Bueno, la misma cosa con la inteligencia artificial. Así que una definición, digamos, bien abierta, ¿qué es la inteligencia? The ability to acquire and apply knowledge and skills. Ahora, yo le pregunté a la inteligencia artificial qué era, y esa es la respuesta que me dio. Generally defined, the ability to acquire and apply knowledge and skills. Muy abierto. Esto se puede aplicar tanto al hombre, a un mono, a un delfín, a un perro. Sí, muestra ciertos grados de inteligencia. Obviamente no es igual al hombre, pero como vemos en el reino de los animales y todo, los que muestran la inteligencia o la habilidad que es más cercano a nosotros, tendemos a respetar ese animal un poco más. Generalmente no lo comemos. O sea, un elefante, no hablamos de comer bistec de elefante, un elefante muestra un cierto grado de inteligencia. Un delfín también. A veces sí, yo sé que los japoneses comen los delfines, pero normalmente el delfín nadie lo está pescando para servir delfín esta noche aquí. O sea, no es una cosa. Los monos, los gorilas y todo, tampoco los comemos. Están demasiado cerca de nosotros, aunque sí, no son iguales a nosotros. Así que vamos a pensar, bueno, de una definición bien abierta, es esa posibilidad, esa habilidad de adquirir conocimiento y aplicarlo a una cosa. Según la psicología también tiene su definición y más bien es una capacidad de aprender, learn from experience, adapt to new situations, understand complex ideas and use reasoning to solve problems. Algo un poco más profundo. Los chimpancés muestran esta habilidad a un cierto grado que un gorila no lo puede hacer, un mono sencillo no lo puede hacer. Así que una capacidad de aprender, de experiencia, experimentar repetitivamente algo y aprender de esa experiencia, adaptarse cuando cambia la experiencia, poder entender algo complicado y resolver un problema. Y los problemas no tienen que ser muy complicados tampoco. Se ven que algunos de los chimpancés ya saben usar palos, cortan palos y lo usan como un tenedor o como cuchillo para sacar algunas veces los animales y todo para comerlos. Así que aprenden, tienen un problema, ¿cómo saco esto de un lago? Y ya saben que con un palo pueden picar un pescado y sacarlo ahí. O sea, de la parte de la psicología, sí, una habilidad de procesar. Cuando vemos lo que estamos haciendo con las computadoras desde el principio, es prácticamente eso. ¿Para qué sirve la computadora? Cualquier computadora, y que use para poder aplicar una solución a un problema complicado. Entrar muchos datos y sacarnos una solución. Sí, lo podemos hacer nosotros, pero se puede como delegar de ciertos modos a una máquina o otra cosa. En el lado de las ciencias de cognitive science, según ellos dicen que es la inteligencia, mental ability, una habilidad mental que incluye la memoria, la atención, el lenguaje, para aplicarlo a resolver un problema o para planificar, o sea, una vista hacia el futuro. Eso requiere un conocimiento o, mejor dicho, una conciencia de tiempo. Estoy planificando para algo que todavía no ha sucedido. O sea, poder interpretar, recibir todo lo que tengo acá y ordenarlo en cierto modo para un futuro. Eso requiere una conciencia al mismo tiempo. Y según, no sé cómo sería en español cognitive science, pero ese tipo de psicología o filosofía, pensar en ese modo. Y claro, hay una definición filosófica, que también entra la filosofía, y según la filosofía es la habilidad de aplicar, tener lógica y razón. Ability for logic and reasoning, to apply wisdom, self-awareness, una conciencia, and ethical judgment. Hay un paso más. Ethical judgment significa que se puede determinar lo que es correcto y lo que no es correcto, lo que es bueno y lo que es malo. Ahora estamos aplicando un sentido moral a una decisión, a una operación. Y bien sabemos, algunas operaciones pueden ser buenas, otras pueden ser malas en sí mismo. Una cosa puede ser virtud, otra cosa puede ser pecado. Una operación puede ser correcta o puede ser incorrecta. Así que si en vez de tocarle a los frenos del carro le doy más impulso, pues me voy a chocar. Hice una aplicación incorrecta de una operación. Y al final, preguntando la inteligencia artificial, ¿qué es entonces la inteligencia artificial? Si es inteligencia, contesta esto. The ability of a machine to mimic human cognitive functions such as learning, reasoning, and self-correction. Eso me lo dijo la máquina. So it's a machine. Obviamente no es humano. Y si no es humano, obviamente no puede ser igual al humano. Mimics human cognitive functions. Ahí está la palabra clave. Mimic. No pretende de suplantar, no pretende de reemplazar el proceso humano. Pero it mimics. Como la guacamaya, el loro empieza a hablar. no es que sabe en realidad lo que está diciendo, pero no está imitando, y a veces lo imita muy bien lo que dice una persona. Entonces, it mimics a cognitive function, una función intelectual, podemos decir, como aprender algo, usar la razón y corregirse. Y ahí, esta es otra palabra clave aquí, que se pueda autocorregir. O sea, como una persona que está aprendiendo algo, cuando empieza a aprender cómo batear la pelota, bueno, no lo va a aprender la primera vez, tiene que practicar y practicar y practicar y empezar a corregir el estilo, el modo que se hace para perfeccionarse. Ahora, Artificial Intelligence pretende que sí hay una capacidad para que la máquina solo se vaya corrigiendo sin depender en un operador o un humano. Es decir, no, esto está incorrecto, hágalo otra vez. De cierto modo se tiene que dar cuenta de lo que está haciendo no es correcto y buscar la solución sin yo tener que decir o hacer nada. Y ahí es donde estamos entrando la cosa. Pensamos también de un lado, porque la pregunta no es nueva, se ha hablado desde tiempo inmemorial, todo un capítulo de la Suma Teológica se dedica a la inteligencia. Si van a la primera parte, el capítulo 79, artículo 10 de la Suma, la pregunta es si la inteligencia es un poder distinto del intelecto. O sea, si hay una diferencia entre inteligencia e intelecto. Y en el contexto de esta pregunta, Santo Tomás Aquino da la definición de lo que es la inteligencia. O sea, así surge la respuesta entre esta pregunta de si hay una distinción. O sea, sabemos los términos, inteligencia, intelecto, y hay una discusión si es la misma cosa o si hay una diferencia. Entonces él dice, pues sí, hay una diferencia. Algunos dicen, por algunos que decir Aristóteles, it would seem that intelligence is another power other than the intellect. O sea, not the same, dos cosas separadas. We read the espíritu and the anima, en las obras de Aristóteles, that when we wish to rise from lower to higher things, first the sense comes to our aid, then imagination, then reason, then intellect, and afterwards intelligence. Así que está haciendo la distinción entre intelecto e inteligencia. Recibimos con los sentidos información, lo usamos en la mente, con la imaginación procesamos esto, usamos la razón y luego el intelecto crea o brota la inteligencia. Es una operación del intelecto. O sea, el producto del intelecto es la inteligencia. Así que tenemos otra vez una distinción filosófica acá. Imagination and sense are distinct powers, therefore also intellect and intelligence are distinct. That's one theory. Second theory, Boethius. Therefore, seemingly intelligence is distinct from the power of intellect, so Boethius agrees with Aristotle, but he goes further. And reason is a distinct power from imagination and sense. And he will go on to say, I had to cut it off because we'll be here all night reading this. He says, and it's proper to human beings. Okay, there's a difference. He's making and going a step further. But again, they're distinct powers. He calls them powers. Aristotle's more, it's a function. Boethius is kind of a faculty, a power, a talent that we have. And a third, also Aristotle, says intelligence is an act separate from others attributed to the intellect. So there may be other things attributed to the intellect, quickness, how fast you can process something. But intelligence is something else. It's something else we added. So Aquinas answers in his Summa. I answer that the word intelligence, Santo Tomás Aquino, properly signifies the intellect's very act, which is to understand. So for him, intelligence and understanding go hand in hand. Intelligence is a product of the intellect, and what is that product? That intelligence, it gives me an understanding of something. That's what intelligence is. If you cannot understand, then you're not intelligent. La lora que imita la voz y lo que uno dice, no entiende lo que está diciendo. Y tal vez el delfín o el mono que imita lo que hace una persona es gracioso para nosotros, pero no sabe lo que está haciendo. Solo sabe que, bueno, hago esto y me dan algo para comer. Entonces no entiende bien lo que es. Y ahí está para él la distinción, es poder entender algo, y eso es propiamente la inteligencia. Él sigue, Santo Tomás Aquino sigue diciendo que Boethius, the authorities accepted intelligence there means the act of the intellect. And Boethius will say that intelligence means an act of the intellect which transcends the act of reason. So reason yields to this, to intelligence, and reason alone belongs to the human race. Only the humans have reason. So a dolphin, a gorilla, an elephant does not have full use of reason. Intelligence, como un poder, como un talento, propiamente es de Dios. Esa es la inteligencia suprema. Y de ahí brota todos los grados de inteligencia. Yo tuve que cortar un poco el texto, pero dice, ¿quién sigue los ángeles? Porque el ángel es una inteligencia en sí mismo. No tiene cuerpo, pero es una inteligencia, es un intelecto bien parecido o conectado a de Dios. Y luego sigue el hombre. Y ahí estamos donde nos identificamos con Dios, con una inteligencia. En cuanto Dios es inteligente, también nosotros tenemos ese don de inteligencia. Una cosa de la última semana de los ejercicios espirituales que traen eso, de los dones que participamos de Dios y en qué grado. Ya San Ignacio está así pensando en esa línea. A la tercera, lo que dice Aristóteles, Santo Tomás Aquino dice, this power first of all only apprehends something, and this act is called intelligence. Así que es un acto. La inteligencia tiene que funcionar. No es una cosa que se queda nada más tapada en la mente. Brota, tiene que salir, tiene que expresarse de un cierto modo. Y por eso él termina. It directs what it apprehends to the knowledge of something else. Así que lo que yo entiendo, y ser un ser que entiende algo, se dirige y quiere compartir ese conocimiento. Para él esto va a ser intención. Tengo un conocimiento de algo, lo quiero expresar, y en expresarlo afuera lo estoy compartiendo con los demás. Así que tiene una intención, y eso va a ser otra palabra clave. When it goes on to search of what it intends, it is called invention. Invenio, invenzione en latín quiere decir también descubrir, descubre algo. It discovers something, where by reference to something known for certain, it examines what it has found, and it is said to know or to be wise, which belongs to phronesis or wisdom. Well, we'll just go to the bottom here. It thinks about the means of making it known to others, so it has to express itself, it has to go outside itself. It orders from interior speech. Cuando entiendo algo, lo entiendo primero aquí y luego lo expreso. That's why, como los buenos maestros aquí dicen, think before you speak. Bueno, ahí viene, because es una muestra de inteligencia. For every different act does not make the powers vary, but only what cannot be reduced to the same principles we said above. Entonces, bueno. Entonces, esto es, digamos, la posición de Santo Tomás Aquino, la filosofía en nuestra... en una reflexión. Así que, ¿cómo podemos combinar estas definiciones, las definiciones de inteligencia, con lo que es la inteligencia artificial? O sea, no estamos hablando de una inteligencia a par con el hombre, no puede ser. La misma definición no permite eso. La inteligencia sigue siendo un don propio al hombre que viene de Dios. No estamos diciendo que la inteligencia artificial está representando ese don divino, de la inteligencia divina. No, es una cosa mucho menor, es un grado mucho más inferior a la inteligencia nuestra, también humana. Pero las funciones que la inteligencia artificial puede hacer o puede mimic, learn or reason, what are those functions? ¿Cuáles son esas cosas que aparecen? Como la lora puede sonar como una persona. Bueno, ¿qué más puede hacer esta máquina en vez de solamente lucir o hablarme como una persona o representar un pedazo de información como si fuese una persona. Lo que usamos generalmente en este momento y para lo que sirve la inteligencia artificial, en este momento las aplicaciones son varias. La mayoría son operaciones sistémicas, o sea, meterse en un proceso. Eso es lo que antiguamente llamamos programar una computadora. Entonces, antes se tenía que aprender un lenguaje de programación. Había Basic, cuando yo estaba en colegio me acuerdo Basic, y luego era Basic A, Basic Plus, C++, muchos diferentes codes y modos de programar. Y así es como uno podía meter la máquina, hacer varias funciones o crear un sistema de funciones. Pero dependía que el hombre, el operador, tenía que programarla. Parece que la inteligencia artificial puede entrar a estas operaciones con una interacción muy diferente. No tengo que saber un lenguaje especial. El primer lenguaje de computadora, creo que si saben un poco de la historia de informática, era el binary code, 101000, sabiendo el que sabe, que conoce ese código, pues puede dirigir la computadora a hacer algunas operaciones, pero sin ese lenguaje no se podía interactuar con la computadora. Luego salieron los punch cards, que también daban las informaciones. Bueno, esta información se da con el mismo lenguaje nuestro, como estoy hablando a ustedes ahora. No tengo que saber un idioma especial, una frase especial, lo puedo hacer en inglés, español, alemán, italiano, cualquier idioma, y no lo tengo que hacer en un modo especial, solamente como conversación, y se deja programar en ese modo. Entonces ya estamos entrando en otra etapa de programación. Formatting, o sea, creando un arco, una arquitectura, por decirlo así. Si queremos un format o cómo aparecen las cosas, también puede construir, digamos, conceptualmente un sistema. Pero, al fondo, y al menos la inteligencia artificial que podemos usar nosotros, que está, digamos, open to the consumer, en este momento sigue dependiendo en un operador humano. O sea, no hace nada hasta que yo le digo. Yo tengo que decirle, búsqueme este dato. Yo tengo que decirle a la computadora, ahora tradúzcame todo esto en italiano. Si no le pregunto, entonces no lo va a hacer. Entonces hay una cierta autonomía en este momento de acción que no está totalmente ahí. Todavía depende en un input humano. O sea, un intelecto mayor para pasar o inspirar, digamos, ese proceso. Y el operador humano lo va refinando con más input, otras preguntas, otras instrucciones. Pero la cosa interesante es que esa capacidad de autocorregirse, antiguamente, bueno, si uno veía un error en la operación, tengo que buscar el código, mira, puse 2 ceros en vez de 2 unos, cambiar esto, ahora está bien. O en el punch card, mira, faltaron 2 huequitos, tenemos que poner todo y ahora sí la cosa funciona. O sea, me faltaba algo del código y tenía a veces que escribirlo o hacerlo todo de nuevo y ponerlo otra vez en la computadora y empieza otra vez a operar. Aquí yo le puedo meter una corrección, otra vez sin un input especial, sin saber un lenguaje, un idioma especial. I put in my own input, and it responds to that input and refines. So I digo, what is the definition of intelligence? Oh, you gave me what is the definition of intelligence according to Aquinas? Oh, I'll find this for you. I want to see what is this according to psychology. Oh, here's this information. But it still depends on me to ask it to refine itself. If not, it just leaves me the answer it has and it's done its operation. The catch is that while we right now have the ability to do an external input, and it depends on external inputs, there is a possibility of internal input, that the machine itself asks itself whether it can do something better, faster, more precise, without relying on the human operator to say, no, do it faster, do it slower, do it more precise. there's kind of where the ethical question hinges. Because up to here, well, it's just a very high-powered computer. When you get to this side, when the correction or the input becomes internal and does not depend on the human operator, then what do we have? If something can make a decision for itself or make an input regardless of human direction. For example, I can make the writing system, and this is kind of where you hear ChatGPT, that's the more famous one that comes out. It can learn to follow and mimic a certain style. Write this in the style of Mark Twain. Make a video in the style of Quentin Tarantino. And yeah, it can try to do it. It can try to learn something. And that's what we, right now we're seeing, a lot of the videos that you see, de entretenimiento and Instagram and todo, ese es el uso que están haciendo. Follow or mimic a style. Put all the presidents, the world leaders dancing on a stage. Okay, it'll try to do that. It can find something that looks like their face and doing things in there. But as it tries to follow and mimic certain styles, well, how do we get it when it's nuanced? Because a style is something very personal. You know, if I say, draw something in the style of Michelangelo, okay, it can analyze Michelangelo's style and give me a painting of myself as if Michelangelo painted it. Oh, that's entertaining, it's fun. But what happens when style involves error? Well, think about it. Some of the great literature poets not necessarily follow grammar rules, and that's what made them great. Some of the other poets and writers may have conventions that break the rules, even in painting and in art. The Mannerists, they're not following the rules. And so when we ask something to do it in a certain style, or you train the machine to do a certain style, can it learn an error? And can I make error part of it? Because the thing right now is programmed to do something correctly and almost perfectly. But what happens when, no, I need error to be part of it? And we think about it, you know, some of the greater, what makes some of these works great is, well, it's a man who can make an error, got away without making one. Or he turned an error into something good. And so, yeah, sometimes you find flaws in Michelangelo's works or flaws in something, but even despite that, it's still great, or it's what makes it great, that it could be something, something admirable despite it. And so error becomes a question in it. Can the machine err? Can the machine make a mistake? And if it does, well, whose fault is it? Is it the one who put it in there? Or is it the machine that's trying to do something the way it thinks is supposed to be right? Kind of the way we make errors. Sometimes we make errors not willingly, thinking we're doing the right thing, but oh, no, I'm wrong. The machine can machine be cognizant of that and then create it, and then change itself. Right now, it depends on our input. So like, you know, if you play around with a thing, give me Michelangelo painting me, no, I don't like it, give me more hair. Oh, okay. It didn't really make a mistake, but that's not the way I wanted it. And so give me more hair, I made it do an intentional mistake. Oh, no, now I'm happy with the result. And so that's a question we have to see again. When we ask of it, and the idea of intentional error, can it be programmed, or will the thing allow itself to make an error, knowing that it is wrong, what it's doing? And so it brings up the discussion of a different kind of intelligence, artificial intelligence is there. For the most part, we've been using it. If you use spell check, if you've used grammar check on anything, which now it's automatic with everything we do, you're already using artificial intelligence. If you've used your calendar app to put a reminder and it suggests, oh, the time to do the reminder or tell you when it's time to leave because of traffic, you've already used artificial intelligence. What's coming to the fore now, and really what ChatGPT represents, is the dawn of creative AI. AI that can create something. AI can create an image that never existed before. AI can take words and make a composition that did not exist before. AI can give us a scheme or even print with a 3D printer an item that did not exist before without the human hand ever touching it. And so right now, when you ask AI, give me, again, Michelangelo's painting of sculpture of myself. Well, that doesn't exist. Yes, a picture of me exists. And it takes that picture, but it creates it into something that, well, nobody's seen before. That's creation, isn't it? It's the same thing that we do. If I'm looking at you and I say, I'm going to make a sculpture of you, well, I see your image and I try to represent it in the stone. And, well, that's something that did not exist before. So what we're playing with a lot, and we entertain ourselves, is the creative AI aspect. It's making material. It could be tangible material, whether if you 3D print it. I think they've already had designs for 3D guns that come out of artificial intelligence. You can design an airplane out of artificial intelligence. It is the ability to create something that wasn't there, that requires intelligence, that requires reasoning, and the output of intelligence. And what I will call deliberative AI. I haven't heard the term yet, so I think I invented it. Deliberative AI, artificial intelligence that can make a decision. Deliberate decision, and a decision independent of human input. And from what I understand, we're already there. It's already there. It's just, it's not open for the public, so to say. What would be the capacity for a system to make decisions independent from an operator? And so we are there right now. We're in the verge of deliberate AI. Like I said, as far as I know, the application right now is usually in the military. It's been used in banking, in high volume and high-end investments. They're already experimenting with it. It makes it decide when to sell, when to buy, independent of input. In military, it can find the target and make the decision to fire or not, independent of a human input or authorization. We kind of see it if you go to the airport and if you've got global entry, you're participating in deliberative AI. It decides whether to search you or not. And based on your appearance, if your records, and everything that the camera can observe and process, all your past travel, anything you have on a record, it'll make the decision right there, green light or red light. And independent of a human operator saying yes, green, no red. Right now we're there, and it's getting even more use now in the airports. So the fact is we've already been using artificial intelligence. We've used it as spell check, grammar check, map directions, web searches, phone reminders, suggestions. But really our practical use, and where we're really seeing what the benefit is the synthesis of information in a massive scale. And that's really where it comes in. And you think in investment banking that it has to take in so many operations, variables, possibilities, and information, it could process it in seconds. Whereas a banker would have to take maybe hours or days and then have a conclusion that might not be right, might have errors in it. This is doing that, speeding up that process. Amalgamation of information and presenting it and taking a massive scale. What I'm going to present to the professors, for example, is, well, at the end of the year, you always have the student inputs. You do the surveys for the courses. And they put 4, 5 is the highest mark, 1 is the lowest. Oh, presentation skills, 4, language skills, 3, punctuality, 5, and I've got 60 students per class. So at the end, I'll have about 120 responses that I have to look at. Okay, more or less, okay, what's my strength? What's my weakness? And I sit there and I look at the numbers, and after a couple of minutes, I can come up with some sort of pattern, or I can recognize some sort of trend. How accurate? Well, it's up to me. Am I 59%? Am I 99%? More or less, I have an idea. This will give me a precise idea. It will give me a percentage. It will read all the information I put into it, and what would take me probably half an hour to process, it processed in 1 second. And it tells me your greatest strength is this, your lowest strength is this. People are happiest with this, people are not happiest with this. All right, you just saved me a half hour of work. So it's saving time at the end of the day, which is what every computer was meant to do, save time. It can recognize patterns and it can model things. And so, seeing that, I can take that into account and said, please look at my schedule or my syllabus and what's the best way I can increase, interest in a certain century. If people like the 5th century, okay, let me see how can I add more 5th century to this. Now, it's a question I can do myself, and a question that I can answer for myself, and it requires some thought and some time as well. Well, this will give me an answer right away. Whether it's the right answer or the wrong answer, well, that's up to me to decide. But it will give me a result in there. But the thing is, we still see a lot of the popular interfaces for artificial intelligence still depend on human prompting. So if you use your Microsoft Copilot, that's free. If anyone who uses Microsoft, you can go on the internet, you access Microsoft Copilot, and that is an artificial intelligence engine that you can use. ChatGPT, same thing. You can use it for free. You can pay for a better version of it as well. But the interesting thing is that these interfaces nevertheless require human prompting. And usually it's in the form of a question. And this is where I see where it comes in. Because we start with the question, and that's where all research begins. If I'm going to write on the 5th century, I got to say, well, what am I going to write about? Who am I going to write about? It's only a question that the author can make and that the author can answer. And so it's the same thing with our artificial intelligence interfaces. We interface on the basis of questions. When was the which were the popes that were not Italian? When were they elected? It's a question. It'll give me an answer. And then I decide whether I accept it or not. That could be where our use is, or the way we can see it in an educational context. It begins with a question, and then I continue to ask it questions to get more results out of it. The same way we would do when we read a textbook. I read the textbook, and the professor hopes that the student will have a question as you're reading it. And maybe your question is answered as you read it. This is what I wanted to know. I found it in the book, or I found it in the other book. Well, that dialogue, that internal dialogue that I have of asking what I'm reading, or asking myself what I'm reading, and then finding the answer for myself, is kind of what is going on right here. I'm asking the computer, and I'm having a dialogue with the computer. I make a question, it gives me an answer, and I make it a follow-up question. I'm having a conversation with the system. And so what we do see, and even recently now, if you sign into any of them, it starts with a question. Before it used to be the blank search bar, and you had to input something. Now, below it, the Microsoft and ChatGPT have questions. How can I help you today? Would you like to know about this? Would you like to? It's anticipating the question, so to say. It's trying to start the interaction, but it can't start it until I click on that question. So it's still dependent on the human question to begin with. And again, all research has to start with a question. If I don't have a question, then I don't have a paper. What I have is a summary. And when you go into higher education, you want to get out of summaries. You want to get out into something new, something innovative, or what they said it was the discovery, inventio in Latin. Commercial AI, that's not readily available for public consumption. They are showing that they can work independent of human prompting or authorization. So you see those different uses. And then the question becomes also about liability. What if the machine has an undesired effect or action? Well, who's to blame? It's not like I told it to do it. I didn't program it either. When it can make an autonomous decision or show some sort of deliberation, where do we hold accountability in there? If the machine at the airport lets the wrong passenger in, well, was it immigration's fault? Was it the immigration officers? The machine? Okay, how do I hold the machine accountable? How do I get satisfaction from the machine? And that becomes another issue. For us, there's an interesting foray that they've been working on in Rome, especially, and it is an interface called Magisterium AI. Let me get out of it here. That is also seeking to, let's see. Okay, and then I got this, and I gotta send it over to the other side. Oh, okay. And so this interface that is developed actually with some of the professors from the Gregorian University, together with the Instituto Orientale, the Institute for Eastern Christian Studies, put together this project called Magisterium AI. And interesting, this is new. Before, you just saw enter your prompt, and that's it. Now look, they had the question, what do you want me to accomplish? So it's trying to start the interaction with a question. Below it tries to anticipate what your answers might be. I need advice about the Pope, prepare a quiz, who was? Draft a homily. So and this is what we call a closed system, or I call it a closed universe AI. What we're used to right now, what's publicly available, Microsoft, ChatGPT, whatever, has a universal base. Whatever information you put into it or it collects from the internet is fair game. It's not making a judgment if something's valid or not. And the students, I told them last semester, I had one of the classes was how to use these systems. And I said, be careful, because if you look at ChatGPT will not give you footnotes. Where did it get the information from? I don't know, it just produced it. If you look at Microsoft Copilot, yes, it will tell you where it found it from, and then you have to make a judgment, because what I said, well, give me the information, the life of Saint Cyprian in the 3rd century, it will give me a life, and then when I say, well, where did you get the information from? Pepito's page on Pope Cyprian. Well, that's not a credible source. But it's just picking up from whatever it says, not discriminating. You can make it discriminate. You can teach it to discriminate. And that's what they did here. And this is what I would call a closed system AI. This AI system can only take information from magisterial documents of the church. Now, they've been uploading it. You can find right now all the magisterial documents from pretty much Pope Leo the 13th up to now. They're already all in the internet. That's been on the Vatican site for years already. And they're working, that's one of the projects they're doing in the Orientale, is scanning everything they got and throwing it into the machine. So you're expanding the universe, but they limit the machine to only take information from what is being put into it, which is magisterial documents. So the only thing that comes in here is magisterial documents. The commercially available AIs, again, take from everything, and they're kind of programmed to never say, I don't know. They find an answer. Now, whether the answer they got is credible or not, that's up to you to decide. But this one is a closed one. This one can tell you, I don't know. So if you ask for a question that's outside of the realm of the magisterium, it has no answer. So if I say, magisterium AI, should I buy, how many shares of Microsoft should I buy? I don't know, the magisterium says nothing about that. And so, but we can certainly ask it, and it'll draw on everything that the magisterium has. So you could say, I have to do a prompt in here, so tell me about the stock market. There we go. Takes its time. Okay. See, it's a very general answer, because that's what the information you can find in the magisterium says. Any references that have ever been made to the stock market it's pulling in, and you can see it doesn't have a lot. There's not a lot to go on. It's a very, very general thing. You can't go too deep in here. You have to ask a follow-up question. I'm guessing he's going to say nothing. Yeah. It guessed Pope Benedict XVI. I didn't tell him which Pope Benedict. Did not directly focus on the stock market, as I distinctly addressed a broader finance. So in short words, Pope Benedict XVI said nothing about the stock market in there. It doesn't try to invent something that's not there. And so that was an answer. But let's give it something that it can know. Mm-hmm.
Anything about Pope Leo XIV?
Ah.
Anything. Just say, tell me about Pope Leo XIV. I'll tell you this is the answer I got one. You'll be surprised. I'll tell you what answer I got. Of course, the guy's stupid.
Now, usually the catch is the answers are never the same. Because it creates, it's a new creation. See, it's not there yet.
The answer I got was this: there is no Pope in 14.
Really? Because he hasn't written anything yet? Right. Well, because again, this is based on magisterial text. He hasn't written any magisterial text yet. So there's nothing to go on.
It actually said there's never been a Pope.
Yeah, because there's no magisterial text that says that he's a pope. So again, it's limited in the scope. Yes.
Doesn't intelligence require creating something new, or to have a new concept created from nothing? Because the idea of creation of intelligence comes from the derivation that we have from God.
Creation for sure is part of it. It creates something. It doesn't have to be new, though, does it? Does it have to be new? Right. It's definitely not being equal to it. No.
That's what I thought it was missing in the first part. You get a little bit of that on the first slide. You talk about creation, sort of. But
yeah, a creation. Although I would hold on to the idea of creating something new. Not if I create two baseballs. The second baseball's not new. It's another baseball.
Create, you have to do something new. Otherwise, you are inventing something from the past, based on the past. I think.
Okay.
I don't know anything about this. Just
But like I say, if I make a replica of the Pietà, it's not new, but it's a creation. Did I create something? I did it out of plastic instead of marble.
This created that response. It created a response.
Yeah, it created something that wasn't there. Yeah, so I mean, but the thing I would say like about new, I mean, it becomes a philosophical question. Because if I play a song the same way someone played it, am I doing something new? I'm creating a sound, but it's not necessarily new. Yeah. Benny.
Father, I may have been in the kitchen, you may have covered this already. What is generative AI?
Generative is when it creates something. Now, I leave it very open in that it's not necessarily creating something new or something unthought of, but it creates something. So it creates me a text that was not there before, a composition that was not there before, an image that didn't exist before.
For example, in the context of a church that you're going
Research.
Whatever, you put in whatever. Who was the 25th Pope?
Right.
Okay, what will generative AI contribute to that survey?
It will give me an answer, like say a biography that doesn't exist, that has never been published before, has never been written before.
Okay. Quick. We need to understand that we reach the 9:35. We're past 5 minutes. I do not mind having more questions, but I need to make this as usual for the people who are watching us. This is the end of the transmission. We are going to end the transmission now, and then you can have individual questions as you feel free with Father Science. But I thank you, every one of you, for joining us tonight, and I thank you for the presentation Father Science provided us. Thank you. Again, happy birthday, Super Muy.
No es solamente en la pregunta en cómo uno hace la pregunta al sistema, digamos, sino la otra intervención humana es quién o qué es lo que ha puesto en el sistema la información donde el sistema vaya a buscar. El breakthrough grande tecnológico que tuvo es el que fundó, creo que fue el que fundó Altman, es cómo separarse de una búsqueda de dígitos de 1 y 0 y crear lo que se llama redes neurales, donde separa bloques y más profundo a los bloques, lo que se llama deep learning. Entonces
sí, o sea,
se va a esos subbloques, se brinca el 1 y 0, que era imposible hacer búsquedas como las que se hacen hoy. Entonces llega a toda esa acumulación de información que el código estándar se llama Large Language Model.
Sí, o sea, los vínculos no dependen de alguien vinculando.
No,
La
o sea,
máquina
no es
busca
que
su
esto
propio
viene del
vínculo.
universo, sino que alguien metió esa información. Entonces siempre la ley prevalente en Deep Data, Deep Learning, en ¿cómo se llama? Analytical Inference, y en lo que tradicionalmente se llamaba MIS, es ISO, que quiere decir shit in, shit out. Si el que metió cosas ahí fueron cosas que tal vez no son verdaderas, por eso es que muchas de las respuestas salen genéricas. Entonces, por eso la parte del razonamiento, lo que usted mencionó al principio, reasoning and critical thinking, siempre tiene que estar ahí. Y no es nuevo, esto salió hasta en una película que de Stanley Kubrick que se llamaba Odisea 2004 en el espacio. O sea,
sí.
no es nuevo. Que la máquina decidió, ¿sabes qué? Es hora de cerrar las puertas. Sucedió en la crisis nuclear de 3 Mile Island. De que qué es lo que pasó. La máquina decidió que había que cerrar todas las compuertas y el operador se friqueó y no pudo tomar una decisión. Entonces a lo que voy es de que cuando uno ve la tecnología que está detrás de lo que es a lo que ahora la gente le llama inteligencia artificial, si uno lo ve, la misma tecnología se da cuenta de que no es sustituto para el razonamiento del humano.
No, todavía.
El problema es de que hay tanta persona ahí, tantos humanos como nosotros, que tomamos lo que sale en eso como dogma y como punto de acción.
Y eso es lo que estoy tratando de enseñar a los estudiantes, que si hacen una investigación, que no tomen esa información como palabra de Dios tampoco. O sea, es como cualquier libro, lo tenemos que buscar y ver si nos sirve o no.
Una cosa interesante es también la parte intuitiva, porque estamos hablando de más bien la lógica, porque el razonamiento que estamos hablando es un razonamiento lógico. En la lógica la premisa está errónea, toda la lógica sale errónea. O sea, pero en la intuitivo es diferente. Ahí es donde entra el arte, entra mucho la parte de la mística, toda esa parte religiosa, todo eso tiene mucho que ver con la cosa intuitiva. Eso yo creo que la máquina esta no puede hacer esa parte intuitiva.
Intuición esa es la dificultad. hay alguna semblance, ¿no?
Puede mimic,
Sí,
somos
es
that,
mimicking
pero no puede
la
entrar en la
intuición,
parte
right?
intuitiva porque la parte intuitiva es de verdad.
Sí, cuando decide si deja a esta persona pasar o no en el avión.
¿No? Y también eso entra de Dios en la persona. La inspiración, por ejemplo, un artista, cosas de esas, tiene que ver con Dios también directamente, en el alma de la persona. Eso no existe cuando tú tienes puramente una cosa técnica, vamos a decir, puramente, ¿verdad? Pero ellos pueden mimicar algo de eso, de Mark Twain o de alguien, una poesía de García Lorca, lo que le dé la gana. Pero no pueden de verdad tener la verdadera poesía que tuvo García Lorca. ¿Ves? ¿Entiendes? O sea, el cómo le salió eso en el alma de él, cómo él procesó, eso no lo tiene. Bueno.